Welcome to Discovering. Being situated in the middle of three of the Great Lakes means we're surrounded by excellent fishing opportunities. Tonight we're fishing lake trout and salmon out of Black River Harbor on Lake Superior.
We grew up ski fishing and that's kind of what we stick with. You get a lot more baits out in the water, a lot bigger spread out there if you know, to produce more fish.
Stick around, it's Monday night and time for Discovering.
The secret streams that flow beneath the cliffs of colored stone. Forest thick and healthy with birch and pine and oak. Surrounded by the greatest lakes this world has ever known. The black bear's awesome presence as he roams the hills and fields. Call of the timber wolf, the loon's lonesome trill. The eagle soaring high above, the trout lies deep and still. These are what I treasure, the only way I measure feelings that I have for this fine land. There is so much to discover when you're a long-time lover of northern Michigan.
The deep crystal clear waters of Lake Superior are home to 34 native and 17 non-native species of fish. Today's targets: lake trout, coho or silver salmon, and steelhead. The fisherman, Brian Berquist from Gogebic Lodge on Lake Gogebic, and his son Austin. We're on board with brothers Mark and Jack McConney, captains and owners of Glacier Girl Charters. Our journey begins at Black River Harbor near the western tip of the UP.
We'll set down some downriggers now, and like I said, these are just standard downriggers. I run a pancake weight to help pull them a little bit from the boat. And then these are set to releases so that when the fish hits the rod, will pop up and release off the downrigger. And we'll fight the fish off the rod here. So, and as the season goes on, you gotta run your downriggers deeper as the fish move down in the column. We're pretty early here in the season, so I'll be running down maybe only 15 feet. Now, unfortunately, that's shallow and this close to the boat. We're probably going to see more action off the skis, but that's not a guarantee. Sometimes your downriggers can produce just as well, even being close to the boat. Like I said, now if a fish gets on that, it'll release off that release, and the rod tip will pop up, and then the fish will be on the rod alone. That weight's just used to pull it down and away from the boat. Seeing as there are some cohos around, I'll run this flasher with this little coho fly on it. We'll give it a try. Generally, I'm a spoon guy. That big flasher up in front of that fly, that's just an attractant. Put the big flash on it, and then that little fly, they're supposed to bite on that. So the fish hawk probe is not only to watch what the surface temperatures and our surface speed is, we also like to get down and monitor where our baits are, the temperature and speed down there. So this little probe I'm putting on our back downrigger here, this will go down and it'll send back a reading to this device, this control here, the fish hawk control, and then it'll tell us what depth our probe's at, and then how fast we're going down at the bait. If there's any current down there, it could differ your speed from your surface to your probe depth, for your speed of your probe, and then what the temperature is down there. And that's going to be more critical, the temperature down at there, that probe, than what we even are at the surface. Alright, I'll need somebody on the rod here. I'll set the baits, and the fish are going to be probably high in the column, so I'll skip. These are 45-foot lines. Okay. And basically here, we fish two kind of different ways. We fish with our rods, and then we fish also with what's known as skis. And it's just a way more to maximize your lines. The skis will pull your lines out away from the boat, and basically it's like a planer board, only rather than hooking your lines and running all surface baits, it'll get your lines down into the water column a little bit for deeper fish. Multiple baits on under each board. So here comes the weight, and now just back reel down. All right, so now I'll start setting the spoons when we hit these snaps. So I'll put one here, and then one more will come right just before we get to the snaps. One more will come up. Yeah. So stop at that one. I'll grab another spoon. And like I was saying, we'll be setting two baits under each of these skis. Basically, we're allowed to run 3 lines per guy, 2 hooks per line. So I mean, that's why I'll skip the bottom ones, because the fish are going to be up higher in the column. So I'm basically only allowed to run 2 spoons per ski, which is fine. That'll be, the other 2 would probably be useless today anyhow. So here's the ski itself, and basically what it's got on it is a trip mechanism. So when it's set, this is the tow line that'll tow to the boat. And when it's set, the tow line pulls off the side of it. And I hook the lines and the spoons off of this here. And when a fish gets on there, it adds extra weight to it. And there's a mechanism here that'll trip out, and it allows this cord then to pull off from the front, and it'll swing in behind the boat, and then we pull it in. And basically on the western end of the UP, and eastern Wisconsin is the only place you'll ever see anybody run skis. They were invented in this area, and they basically never went anywhere else. So it's kind of a fishing method kind of specific to this area. And basically when we tow these off the boat, we run them off these bungee cords just to keep, for when we're bouncing off waves, it won't allow the ski to have a little bit of give in it, because otherwise if you didn't have bungees and we're pulling straight cord, you would trip the mechanism just by bouncing off of waves. Like I said, these skis are kind of specific to this area, and they were invented by the Fin Spoon Company. Well, one time was owned by a guy named Guy. He owned the company, invented all the skis and a lot of spoons, and the name was Gus Cusby. And now, I mean, he's long since passed, and he sold his company, and it's been sold a few times now. It's now owned by a guy out of Marquette. Most of what I'm going to use today on these skis are of a fin spoon. This one here is a variety, a gold hammered #1. So, they're a preferred spoon by me and a lot of charter fishermen in this area. Instead of putting it on the big reels on the back, we use this rod here to reel in the skis. It gives you a little more feel. If you get a big fish on there, like say 20-pound lake trout style, I mean, you may need to back off of them a little bit. I mean, unfortunately with running these cords like this, you don't have as much forgive as you do on a regular hand rod. So rather than using these, we like to use that. So if you get a good one pounding on there, you can back down on them if you need to, kind of like a drag system, but you got to do it basically manually. And that's why we use these also. Some guys got big, connected like downrigger style, where you crank them up a little more. I like to have a little more sensitivity on the fish rather than just tow them on in. So that's why I use this more hand stuff, and it's a little more of a challenge than just cranking in a ski on a big reel. Now when you net lake trout or any big lake fish, you plunge underneath them and come in from the bottom. It's not like netting from the side. So there he is there, lake trout. But now our temperatures are starting to get a little bit better. We set out a little too cold there this morning. We were in almost, only in 40 degrees up on the surface. Now we're getting to 43.5 on the surface and 45 down the 18 feet. So I mean, we're starting to get out of the colder water and get in a little bit better water. That fish there was caught on an old number 7 fin. His old number 7 fin, and we put some green tape on it. So that spoon there is made by the Finn Spoon Company, and like I said, this one's still stamped. It was back when Gus had it up in Ashland, Wisconsin. This is an old version, but Brad's still stamping kind of the same thing. So like I said, Brad up in Marquette now owns the Finn Spoon Company. It's on. Or 48 supposedly the best water for lake trout. I tend to like to fish a touch colder than that. And I don't know why, it's just I seem to have better luck around the 46, 47 mark for the lake trout. There's the coho. And we have been getting a couple steelhead and a couple salmon when we've been going out, so hopefully today we can see some of that as well.
It'll work. Good eater, good eater. 46 feet, we got this one down. Right off the Porcupine Mountains. We're gonna put the stuff back out and see if we can get another one.
The temperature is just set up by the current. Right now we're transitioning from spring to summer type water, and the water just hasn't really heated up yet. I mean, even the surface temp is still warming up, and basically the cold water just, I mean, it finds the currents and it gets stuck in them currents kind of. And right now, when I look at the satellite imagery of the surface temps, and we had a big belly coming down, you know, out from the harbor to the northeast here. So I tried to get on that belly, but we got a little far deep into it this morning where we were cool. You can almost see where the currents are. It looks like a slick out on the water. And then you can target them areas, and we'll find a good one eventually, and them fish tend to group up in them currents. You got all your garbage, all your bugs, garbage, and anything from the rivers get stuck in them current lines, and then the bait fish go in there to feed, and the big fish follow up on that. I run Glacier Girl Charter Fishing, LLC, out of Black River Harbor in Ironwood, Michigan. We charter on western end of the UP, Lake Superior. We basically fish from the beginning of June till mid-September. I run a 35-foot Bertram, pretty nice boat, 1974. We got 454 twin engines in it. We run about 20 miles an hour to and from the fishing grounds. We run basically a mix of these skis, you know, which are basically kind of reverse planer boards, if you will. They get your gear to the side of the boat, but they let you pull underneath. And then we also run downriggers and rods.
Well, it's got some weight to it.
And we can run inline planer boards and lead core and copper line too, like they do in Lake Michigan. He's pretty good, he's staying deep. It's just we ain't as familiar with that. We grew up ski fishing, and that's kind of what we stick with. You get a lot more baits out in the water, a lot bigger spread out there, you know, to produce more fish.
Yeah, baby! Woo! Nice one.
And generally midsummer we're catching mainly lake trout. In the spring and fall time you'll see more salmon, some steelhead and browns also. I run the business and I'm a captain of the boat, and then my brother Jack, who's with us today, he is also captain. Mainly we fish weekends, but if we gotta accommodate a weekday we can usually work around it. Specialized fishing term. Fight eater. Fight eater.
how not to net a fish. Williams is going to get you.
That's a dandy. There's your steelhead. Finally, on order. Woo!
Beautiful.
Number 7, fin, second orange, nice Lake Superior steelhead.
That's a beauty.
Austin Berquist.
Both, 27.
7-1, yeah, both 7, balancing, yeah.
Other one.
Size Lake Superior lake trout.
I've been fishing out here since I was pretty little. My uncle, he got a boat there in the harbor. I fished with him for many years. I think we got our first boat. It was a 25-foot carver for big lake fishing. It was probably 8 years ago, I would guess. And for me, it's a way to get away from everything, and I just relax when I'm out here, you know, even fishing, not fishing, whatever, you know. It just, boats and water, I guess, are my thing, and in harbors, I mean, I'm a water kind of guy, I guess, and it is just a way for me to relax. I got my job in town, and I run a machine shop there in town, and it can get a little edgy at times, and this is just my way of unwinding. So, I mean, it's a good way. I mean, I enjoy any time I'm out here, even if I'm working fishing, you know, charter fishing or whatever. It is a relaxing situation for me. So, I mean, it's when guys come out and I'm required to produce fish, I can get a little anxiety, if you will, but not usually too bad. But I mean, I guess I would say I got into charter fishing just because, you know, I turned my hobby into kind of a way to make a little money and offset having a boat of this size. And I mean, like I said, it's more of a relaxing thing for me. It's not high stress fishing. I don't come out here and go ballistic about, you know, catching fish. I mean, I try to have a nice relaxed day, make people comfortable, make them have a good enjoyable day, you know, do some explaining about how we fish, and you know, try to give them a good training exercise on what we do here, you know. And basically when I charter fish, Jack and I usually don't touch the equipment. You know, we set the gear, and after that it's pretty much the clients. If they want to do the whole works, they can do the whole works. Generally we're just here to take people out and drive them around and put them on some fish, and you know, normally we do a pretty good job of finding fish. Sometimes it takes a little longer than others, but normally we can get on them, and you know, we can give you a little insight on the area and Lake Superior.
Started fishing out on the big lake here when I was pretty young. I was out with my uncle who operates a charter boat out of Black River Harbor. He'd offer up a trip, or you know, and then it turned into where he'd need a hand, and I would come with him and do run the deck for him or whatever he needed. And me and my brother started, you know, with a boat of our own back in 2008 to get out on the lake for ourselves anytime we wanted. And last year in 2015 we purchased this boat and started the charter business. And like I said, just basically as a way to offset costs and to pass that experience on to other people, you know, for people who don't have the everyday ability to come out and do this as we do. But you know, and that's what it's all about. You know, somebody passing the knowledge down, you know, to me, and I would like to pass it on to other people. And pretty much any fisherman will tell you that just being out on the water is the most important thing. I mean, everybody likes to catch fish and everybody likes to catch big fish, but being out on the water is the experience, and catching fish is pretty much secondary, but we usually do pretty well. We just enjoy bringing people out and making sure that they have a good time here. That's what our main focus on the chartering is, to make sure that other people have the enjoyment that we have the ability to have every day during the summer. Like I said, most of the thing is we both enjoy doing it. There's no real discrepancies on how we do things. We're all pretty much synced in the same mindset on how we fish and the way we're going to do things. So it makes it pretty pleasant to work with my brother. And it's just fun being out here and catching fish and just fishing in general. So it's relaxing, and that's what it should be. And nobody should take it too serious. Yeah, a little bit of weather. I mean,
Well, that's it for tonight. If you'd like to keep tabs on what's coming up on Discovering or see where we've been, you can join us on Facebook or go to 906outdoors.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week right here on Discovering.